Last month on the Path series, we had a look at Gnosticism. So, one of the major influences on Gnosticism was Zoroastrianism. So, I thought we'd talk about that this month. This is probably one of the oldest organized faiths, anyway, and it was also called Mazdayazda or Bedin, and this was probably originated around about 2,500 years ago, although nobody can be sure about the actual dates. But anyway, let's have a look at Zoroastrianism. Join me over on Patreon, where you will find all of my books, services, and courses in the shop, blog posts, and the various tiers which you can explore. You can get magical training in the Temple of the Horned Serpent First Degree, and joining as a free member gets you started with that, or explore the Magical Journal and the Egregore Project. Hope to see you there. One of the world's oldest religious traditions has left a lasting impact on the history of spirituality and philosophy. Originating in the ancient Iranian plateau, it offers a unique worldview characterized by a dualistic cosmology, ethical monotheism, and a deep reverence for natural elements, particularly fire. The religion emerged in the teachings of Zarathustra, otherwise known as Zoroaster, a prophet that is said to have lived over 3,000 years ago. Nobody's sure of the date, so maybe 2,500 years ago. And he challenged the polytheistic beliefs of his time, promoting the worship of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, as the singular deity of the universe. We can even suggest that this is where monotheistic religions began and the separation or divide of good versus evil. Zoroastrianism's influence is far-reaching, impacting not only the development of Persian culture and society, but also shaping key concepts in later religious traditions, particularly those of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Ideas such as the afterlife, heaven and hell, Judgment Day, and the dualistic struggle between good and evil all trace their origins to Zoroastrian theological frameworks. Despite the decline of Zoroastrianism after the Islamic conquest of Persia, it has persevered through the diaspora, particularly among the Parsis of India, and continues to resonate with modern movements that emphasize ethics, environmentalism, and personal responsibility. Today, we are going to delve into the origins, the historical development, core practices, and contemporary relevance of Zoroastrianism. By examining its theological foundations, historical context, rituals, and global influence, we can better understand the legacy of this ancient faith. Zoroastrianism emerged in the ancient Iranian plateau, a region marked by rich cultural and spiritual traditions. The religion was founded by the prophet Zarathustra, whose teachings represented a significant departure from the polytheistic and ritualistic practices of the time. Scholars place Zarathustra's life during the early Iranian Bronze or Iron Age, though the exact date remains a topic of debate. The Iranian plateau, with its vast landscapes and pastoral communities, shaped the spiritual outlook of Zarathustra and his followers. Living in a world where natural forces and deities were central to daily life, Zarathustra's monotheistic revelation of Ahura Mazda challenged existing beliefs, promoting a universal god of wisdom and justice. Zarathustra's vision, which forms the foundation of Zoroastrianism, is rooted in his profound spiritual experiences, through which he claimed to have received direct revelations from Ahura Mazda, the supreme god in Zoroastrian theology. The historical details of Zarathustra's life remain somewhat obscure, and much of what is known about him comes from religious texts, later traditions, and mythic accounts. Nonetheless, his vision is often described as a mystical encounter with Ahura Mazda that radically transformed his understanding of the divine and the cosmos. The most significant aspect of Zarathustra's vision was his encounter with Ahura Mazda, who revealed to him the truth about the nature of the universe, the role of humanity, and the cosmic battle between good and evil. In these revelations, Zarathustra learned that the world was governed by a supreme force of goodness, truth, and order, embodied in Ahura Mazda, who was the creator and sustainer of the world. Ahura Mazda's essence was pure and untainted by any form of evil. In contrast, Zarathustra was shown that evil, represented by the spirit Angra Mainyu or Ahriman, sought to corrupt and destroy the divine order. This dualistic vision, one of an eternal struggle between the forces of good and evil, was central to Zarathustra's theological framework. In his teachings, Ahura Mazda represents the force of Asha, or truth, righteousness, and order, while Angra Mainyu represents Druj, or falsehood, chaos, and destruction. This cosmic dualism is the defining feature of Zoroastrian thought, where the entire universe is understood as a battlefield where these opposing forces vie for dominance. In Zarathustra's vision, Ahura Mazda is not merely a god among others. He is the one and only supreme God, omnipotent, and the source of all good in the universe. Unlike the polytheistic gods of the surrounding cultures, Ahura Mazda is transcendent and eternal, beyond time and space. Ahura Mazda is not just a creator, but also the guardian of Asha, the cosmic order, and moral law that governs both the heavens and the earth. Ahura Mazda's nature is also inherently good, and everything he creates is meant to be aligned with the principles of truth, justice, and order. Zarathustra taught that Ahura Mazda's will could be known through the divine revelations he himself received, and that by following Asha, humans could live in harmony with the divine will. In this framework, Ahura Mazda is both the originator and upholder of the world's order, standing in stark contrast to the chaos brought about by Angra Mainyu and his followers. Ahura Mazda's attributes in Zarathustra's vision are often expressed through a series of divine emanations and attributes, known as Amesha Spentas, the holy immortals. These divine figures are manifestations of Ahura Mazda's various qualities and represent essential aspects of life and creation. They include Vohu Mana, which means good purpose. This represents the goodness and benevolence of Ahura Mazda's intentions. There is Asha Vahishta, which is best truth, which embodies the concept of divine order and truth. There is Kshathra Vairya, which is desirable dominion, and that symbolizes divine sovereignty and the power of justice. Spenta Amaiti, which is holy devotion, which reflects piety, humility, and devotion to the divine. Horvatat, which is wholeness. This signifies health, wholeness, and integrity. And Ameratat, which is immortality, and that represents eternal life and the preservation of goodness. These divine attributes work together to maintain the balance of the universe and ensure that Asha prevails over Druj. They are seen as agents of Ahura Mazda's will, assisting in the creation and maintenance of the cosmos, as well as promoting the ethical and spiritual well-being of humanity. Zarathustra's vision presents the world as a battleground in which the forces of good and evil are in constant conflict. This cosmic dualism is not simply a theological abstraction, but is seen as a living reality that plays out in the lives of individuals, nations, and the world at large. Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu are locked in a struggle for control over the world and humans' souls. The forces of Asha, which are truth and order, are countered by the forces of Druj, falsehood and disorder. The battle between these two opposing forces is portrayed as the central drama of the universe, and it is within this struggle that all human beings must find their place. According to Zarathustra's teachings, every person is an active participant in this battle, and their choices in life contribute either to the triumph of Asha or the spread of Druj. Zarathustra's vision emphasizes that each individual has the free will to choose which side to align with. The notion of personal responsibility is a cornerstone of Zoroastrian ethics, Humanity is called to actively choose truth over falsehood, order over chaos, and goodness over evil. Through their actions, individuals can align themselves with Asha and help bring about the eventual defeat of Angra Mainyu. This battle is ultimately not just external but internal as well. Zarathustra taught that each person must fight the forces of chaos and falsehood within their own heart and mind, cultivating virtue, wisdom, and purity in their thoughts, words, and deeds. Zarathustra's cosmic duality, however, is not seen as a static or eternal conflict. This vision is ultimately one of hope and redemption. He believed that the forces of Asha would ultimately prevail, and that in the end, Angra Mainyu and the forces of evil would be vanquished. This eschatological vision includes the eventual renovation of the world, when all beings would be purified and restored to a state of divine perfection. This renewal would mark the ultimate triumph of truth and order, leading to the establishment of a harmonious world where Asha reigns supreme. Zarathustra's vision elevated the role of humanity in the cosmic order. Unlike earlier religious systems in which the divine realm was distant and separate from the human experience, Zarathustra taught that humans have a direct responsibility to participate in the divine order. He emphasized the importance of individual moral action in contributing to the greater cosmic struggle. Humans are not passive spectators in the battle between good and evil, they are active participants in it. Zarathustra's teachings stressed that the material world was not inherently corrupt or separate from the divine. Instead, the material world was seen as a reflection of Ahura Mazda's goodness and was worthy of reverence and care. Human beings, as stewards of the earth, were charged with the task of preserving and cultivating the natural world in accordance with divine will. This is why environmental stewardship, care for animals, and respect for the elements, such as fire and water, became central practices in Zoroastrianism. Furthermore, Zarathustra's vision also emphasized the ethical imperative of righteous living. Humans were to choose Asha in every aspect of their lives, from their thoughts and words to their deeds and interactions with others. Ethical conduct, in Zarathustra's view, was not merely a matter of ritual, but was a matter of embodying divine truth in daily life. To live according to Asha was to align oneself with the divine order and to contribute to the defeat of evil in the world. Zarathustra's vision extended to the afterlife, offering a view of spiritual destiny that reflected the dualistic nature of his cosmology. The choices made in life would determine an individual's fate in the afterlife. Upon death, the soul would face judgment, where it would be judged based on its alignment with Asha or Drudge. Those whose actions aligned with Asha would be rewarded with eternal life in a state of divine perfection, while those who followed Drudge would suffer the consequences of their choices. The afterlife in Zoroastrianism is not a simple binary of salvation or damnation, but rather involves a process of purification. In the final judgment, which will occur at the end of time, all souls will be judged and the world itself will be renewed. This eschatological hope provides a vision of ultimate redemption, in which all of creation will be restored to its original state of purity, and the cosmic battle between good and evil will come to an end. The Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great, marked Zoroastrianism's rise to prominence as an organized religion. Although evidence suggests a degree of religious pluralism into Achaemenid rule, the core tenets of Zoroastrianism, centered on Ahura Mazda, became deeply integrated into the empire's governance. Cyrus himself, often lauded for his tolerance, referred to Ahura Mazda in inscriptions as the divine guide for his reign. Darius I, one of Cyrus's successors, further solidified Zoroastrianism's influence. Inscriptions from his reign, such as the Behistun inscription, explicitly credit Ahura Mazda as the source of his power and protection of order, or Asher. The Zoroastrian concept of cosmic dualism, truth versus falsehood, mirrored the emperor's efforts to maintain political stability and justify imperial authority. This period saw the spread of Zoroastrian ethics and rituals throughout the vast territories of the empire, influencing cultures from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean. Under the Sasanian dynasty, Zoroastrianism reached its zenith as a state religion. The Sasanians centralized religious authority, established fire temples as places of worship, and codified Zoroastrian scriptures into the Avesta. This era saw the development of an elaborate priestly hierarchy with the Mobeds, or priests, playing a crucial role in both religious and political matters. The Sasanian kings presented themselves as divine rulers under Ahura Mazda's mandate, aligning the religion with the state structure. Festivals like Nowruz, which is the Persian New Year, and Miragan began significant cultural events, blending Zoroastrian rituals with imperial identity. Additionally, theological debates flourished during this period, contributing to a sophisticated understanding of Zoroastrian cosmology, ethics, and eschatology. However, the Sasanian period also brought challenges. Zoroastrianism faced competition from emerging religions such as Christianity and later Islam, leading to efforts to defend and preserve its theological integrity. The Islamic conquest of Persia in the 7th century CE marked a turning point for Zoroastrianism. The religion lost its state sponsorship, and many Zoroastrians either converted to Islam or faced social and economic marginalization. Fire temples were destroyed or repurposed, and the priestly class diminished in influence. Despite these challenges, Zoroastrian communities persisted, particularly in rural regions of Persia. Over time, some Zoroastrians migrated to India, where they became known as Parsis. In India, they found relative freedom to practice their faith, preserving their traditions and rituals in the face of declining numbers. The resilience of Zoroastrianism lies in its adaptability and the strong sense of identity maintained by its followers. In Persia, small Zoroastrian enclaves continue to uphold their beliefs, while in India, Parsis flourished, contributing significantly to local culture and economy. Zoroastrianism's emphasis on community and ethical living ensured its survival, even in the face of external pressures and historical upheavals. Through the Achaemenid and Sasanian empires, Zoroastrianism shaped the spiritual and political fabric of ancient Persia. Its decline after the Islamic conquest did not mark its end, but rather a transformation, as it adapted to new contexts and challenges, ensuring its enduring presence in both history and modernity. Fire holds a sacred and central role in Zoroastrianism, transcending its material function as a natural element to become a profound symbol of divine presence, purity, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. For Zoroastrians, fire represents Asher, the divine order, truth, and righteousness that maintains cosmic harmony and moral integrity. This elemental force is not simply a part of nature, but is imbued with spiritual significance, often regarded as the visible manifestation of Ahura Mazda's, or the supreme god's, eternal light and divine wisdom. The reverence for fire in Zoroastrianism is not just about its physical properties, but its capacity to represent the divine qualities that sustain both the natural world and the spiritual realm. At the heart of Zoroastrian theology lies the concept of Asher, which signifies truth, order, and justice. Asher is understood as the cosmic law that governs the universe, ensuring that creation remains in harmony with divine will. Fire is the physical counterpart to Asher, representing the purity, strength, and clarity of divine wisdom. In Zoroastrian thought, fire is seen as a reflection of the divine light that emanates from Ahura Mazda, and as such it becomes the most sacred of all elements. The idea that fire serves as the visible manifestation of Ahura Mazda's spirit can be traced back to Zarathustra's teachings, which emphasize the divine presence in every part of creation. Zarathustra himself is believed to have understood the universe as an extension of the divine, with every natural phenomenon acting as a conduit through which humanity can experience and understand the will of Ahura Mazda. Fire, as one of the most vivid and powerful elements of nature, symbolizes divine energy in its most potent form. For Zoroastrians, fire connects humanity directly with the transcendent, making it an essential part of both worship and daily life. Zoroastrian worship revolves around the veneration of fire in dedicated spaces known as Atash Berams, or fire temples. These temples are not merely places of gathering, but are considered sanctified grounds where the presence of Ahura Mazda is most acutely felt. The central feature of a Zoroastrian fire temple is, of course, the fire itself, which is carefully tended by priests known as magi or mobeds. These sacred fires are maintained in perpetuity, with some of the oldest fire temples in Persia said to have maintained their flames for centuries, a testament to the enduring and undying nature of divine truth and order. In a typical fire temple, there are multiple fires, each representing different aspects of divine power. The highest and most revered fire is known as Atash Beram, the highest order of fire, which is lit using an elaborate process involving fire from other holy sources. The Atash Beram represents the ultimate connection to Ahura Mazda, and it is thought to be capable of purifying the souls of the faithful and the surrounding environment from any corruption or impurities. Other fire temples may house lesser fires known as Atash Adaran, each of which serves as a representation of the divine light, though they do not possess the same level of sanctity as the Atash Beram. The rituals within the fire temple are intricate and highly symbolic. Priests conduct ceremonies that involve the offering of prayers, the chanting of sacred texts, and the burning of incense or other offerings, all of which are designed to invoke the purifying and sustaining power of fire. The fire itself is regarded as sacred, and it is believed that the flames purify not only the worshipper's physical environment, but also their souls, ensuring their alignment with Asha and the divine will. Fire's role extends far beyond the fire temple, playing a critical part in daily life and various Zoroastrian rituals. Fire is a constant presence in the home, where it is considered a guardian of both the physical and spiritual well-being of the family. In Zoroastrian households, fire is often kept in a small sacred flame, lit in a household shrine, where it is cared for and maintained as a reminder of divine presence. This home fire is not merely a symbol, but an active participant in the spiritual life of the family, believed to safeguard the purity of the home and protect it from the forces of evil or drudge. During major life events such as weddings, births, and even funerals, fire plays a crucial role. In Zoroastrian weddings, for instance, fire is invoked as a symbol of the purity and sanctity of the marriage, with the couple standing in front of the sacred flame as a representation of their vows to each other and to Ahura Mazda. Similarly, at funerals, fire serves to purify the deceased's soul and guide them to the afterlife, ensuring their safe passage through the spiritual realms. Fire's presence in these rituals signifies the transformation and purification of the soul, which is integral to Zoroastrian understanding of both life and death. The act of lighting fire itself is also symbolic. For example, Zoroastrians are often taught to light fire during the prayers and rituals as a way of invoking divine light, dispelling darkness and aligning themselves with Asha. This can be seen as a metaphor for the personal and collective struggle against Drudge, the evil force, and that threatens the cosmic and moral order. In Zoroastrianism, fire is not simply a positive force, but a central element in the cosmic struggle between good and evil. Zoroastrian cosmology is based on a dualistic understanding of the world, which is the forces of good represented by Ahura Mazda and Asha, which are in constant conflict with the forces of evil, represented by Agramenu or Ahriman and Drudge, which is deception, chaos, and falsehood. Fire plays a significant role in this eternal conflict, acting as both a weapon against evil and a means of maintaining cosmic order. Fire's association with purity and light places it squarely on the side of the divine forces, while its opposite, darkness, cold, and the absence of light, represents the forces of Agramenu and Drudge. The struggle between these opposing forces is thought to be played out not only in the material world, but also in the hearts and minds of every individual. Zoroastrian teachings emphasize the importance of choosing the path of Asha and aligning one's actions with divine will, with the understanding that doing so strengthens the forces of good and helps to defeat the forces of darkness. At a metaphysical level, fire represents the Asha, the divine light that illuminates the world, bringing truth and order. However, its ability to consume and purify also represents its capacity to destroy evil, burning away the corruption of Drudge and maintaining the cosmic balance. The eschatological teachings of Zoroastrianism reflect this duality, with the final defeat of Agramenu symbolized by the cosmic fire that will purify the world in a final judgment, cleansing it of evil and restoring it to a state of divine perfection. Beyond its role in the temples and homes, fire is used in a variety of rituals designed to purify, protect, and bless individuals in the community. For example, during Jashan ceremonies, which are among the most important religious gatherings in Zoroastrianism, fire is central to the rites. In these ceremonies, which are often performed to mark specific occasions or to honor deities, fire is used to sanctify offerings of food, incense, and other materials. The prayers and invocations during the Jashan are intended to invoke the divine presence of Ahura Mazda and the spirits of the good, and fire serves as the physical and spiritual conduit of these invocations. Another important ritual involving fire is the Sudra, Pushi, and Kusti ceremonies, which marks the initiation of a Zoroastrian into the religious community. In this rite, the initiate is given a sacred shirt, the Sudra, and a cord, the Kusti, which are symbolic of their commitment to the Zoroastrian faith. The fire during this ceremony symbolizes the purification of the initiates, preparing them for their new life in the service of Ahura Mazda and Asha. Fire's role in Zoroastrian cosmology is central to understanding the relationship between humanity and the divine. The universe in Zoroastrian thought is an arena for the cosmic battle between good and evil, and fire plays a critical role in maintaining the balance between these forces. In addition to being a force of destruction, fire also represents Fravashi, the divine spark within all humans, which is believed to be an eternal aspect of the soul that strives for purity and truth. In the eschatological vision of Zoroastrianism, fire is also seen as a purifier in the afterlife. It is believed that in the final judgment, the righteous will pass through a river of molten metal and fire, which will cleanse them of any remaining impurities, while the wicked will be consumed by the flames, signifying their defeat and purification. The role of fire in the Zoroastrian eschatological vision symbolizes the final triumph of good over evil and the restoration of cosmic harmony. Purification occupies a central role in Zoroastrian religious practice, representing not just the physical act of cleansing, but also a spiritual alignment with the divine order of Asha. Zoroastrians believe that maintaining purity is essential for both individual well-being and the broader cosmic balance, as any form of impurity is seen as a threat to the harmony of the world. The Zoroastrian concept of purity is intricate, involving a complex relationship between physical, moral, and spiritual cleanliness. Therefore, purification rituals are performed in a variety of ways, each with a specific aim: to cleanse the body, protect the soul, or restore cosmic order. These rituals serve as both acts of devotion and tools for combating the forces of evil and chaos. In Zoroastrianism, purity is not limited to the physical realm, but extends deeply into the moral and spiritual dimensions of life. The religion holds that human beings are constantly in a state of flux between Asha and Druj. Thus, one's actions, thoughts, and even words must remain aligned with divine will to avoid the corruption that arises from evil influences. Purity, therefore, is not merely about external cleanliness, it is intrinsically tied to moral rectitude and spiritual awareness. The maintenance of purity is also seen as a cooperative effort between humanity and the divine. Zoroastrian teachings stress that every individual has the responsibility to ensure their actions promote the forces of good. Engaging in rituals of purification, whether to cleanse the body or the soul, reinforces one's commitment to Asha and serves as a form of resistance against the chaotic forces of Druj. The purification rituals, in this sense, are seen as a way to maintain alignment with Ahura Mazda's divine will and to help sustain cosmic balance. As previously discussed, fire is an essential symbol in Zoroastrianism, representing the divine presence of Ahura Mazda, Asha, and cosmic purity. Fire plays a pivotal role in the purification process, as it is believed to have the power to cleanse both the physical and spiritual impurities that accumulate from daily life. Fire's transformative and purifying properties make it a central tool in Zoroastrian rituals of cleansing. One of the most well-known purification rituals in Zoroastrianism involves the sacred fire used in Atash Berams, which was the fire temples, which are specifically dedicated to the worship of Ahura Mazda. These temples house a perpetually burning fire that is believed to have the capacity to purify both the community and the environment. In a typical ritual, worshippers may perform a variety of actions, such as offering incense, chanting prayers, or lighting their own small fires, all with the intention of cleansing themselves spiritually. Fire's role in purification is also apparent in the use of consecrated flames during personal ceremonies. Zoroastrians may light a sacred fire at home to sanctify their environment, and many Zoroastrian households maintain a small sacred fire that is kept lit at all times as a symbol of divine protection and purity. One of the most important purification rituals in Zoroastrianism is the Nan, a ritual bathing ceremony. The Nan is not just a physical cleansing, but is meant to purify the individual from spiritual and moral impurities. The ritual typically involves washing the entire body with water that has been consecrated or sanctified. The water used in the Nan is often drawn from a river, spring, or well, all of which are believed to be sources of divine purity. These water sources, in Zoroastrian thought, are seen as gifts from Ahura Mazda, capable of cleansing the body and soul alike. The Nan ritual is commonly performed before a person participates in a major religious ceremony, such as a prayer or a sacrificial offering. The act of cleansing oneself before engaging in such activities emphasizes the importance of maintaining both physical and spiritual purity before approaching the divine. It is believed that those who undergo this ritual are spiritually reborn, with their actions and thoughts aligned with the principles of Asha. In the context of the Nan, the ritual bath is not merely an external action, but is viewed as a means of purging the individual from any accumulated impurities, whether they be from contact with the dead, interaction with unclean substances, or even from negative thoughts and deeds. This idea of physical purification mirroring spiritual purification is fundamental in Zoroastrian theology. The Padyab is another key ritual associated with purification. It is a form of minor ritual washing that precedes more important acts of worship. Unlike the full Nan ritual, the Padyab is typically a more simplified process involving the washing of the hands, face, and feet with water that has been purified. This ritual is essential before entering a fire temple or before performing prayer, as it prepares the individual to engage in the sacred act of worship while maintaining a sense of purity and readiness. In Zoroastrian thought, the purity of the body reflects the purity of the soul, so the Padyab is intended to cleanse the practitioner both physically and spiritually, ensuring that the individual's actions will be in accordance with the principles of Asha. This ritual highlights the Zoroastrian understanding that purity is an ongoing process and that each act of worship must be preceded by an intentional preparation of the body and mind. The Turiak or Tiriak is a specific purification process designed to cleanse a person after they have been in contact with a dead body, something that is considered highly impure in Zoroastrianism. In Zoroastrian cosmology, death is a major source of spiritual contamination, as the deceased body is thought to harbor the presence of Drudge, the forces of evil and chaos. Consequently, the act of coming into contact with death necessitates a specific purification process to restore balance and ensure that the individual's purity is not compromised. The Turiak purification typically involves a series of prayers and rituals conducted by a priest, followed by a ritual bath. The individual undergoing purification is often required to abstain from engaging in worship or entering a fire temple until the purification process is complete. This ritual emphasizes the Zoroastrian belief that death and the forces of evil must be carefully managed to prevent their spread, and that restoring purity after contact with these forces is vital for maintaining the individual's spiritual integrity. Purification in Zoroastrianism is not only a concern for the present, but also extends to the afterlife. Zoroastrian eschatology involves a final purification of the soul, where individuals undergo a judgment process after death. In this judgment, the soul is believed to cross a metaphorical bridge, the Chinvat bridge, that separates the world of the living from the afterlife. The righteous soul, which is free of impurity and aligned with Asha, is able to cross the bridge safely and enter the realm of divine peace and eternal life. However, the soul that is tainted by impurity and aligned with Drudge falls off the bridge into the abyss, where it is punished and eventually purified by fire. Fire's eschatological significance in this purification process cannot be overstated. In Zoroastrian belief, it is fire that ultimately purifies the soul, burning away the accumulated impurities and allowing the individual to enter the state of divine purity. This final purification is viewed as a cosmic event in which the entire world will be cleansed by a purifying fire, restoring the universe to its state of harmony and aligning it with divine will. This concept of a final purification through fire reflects the central role that fire plays in both the daily rituals and the larger cosmological order in Zoroastrianism. While many of the ancient rituals of purification continue to be practiced by modern Zoroastrians, the way in which purification is understood and enacted has evolved in response to contemporary life. In communities where access to sacred fires and purification water sources may be limited, there are adaptations of purification practices. For example, in diaspora communities, Zoroastrians may use purified or consecrated water in place of more traditional sources to perform rituals like Nan or Padyab. However, the core principles of purification remain unchanged. Whether in the context of personal devotions, communal worship, or eschatological expectations, the role of purification in Zoroastrianism remains fundamentally connected to the protection of the soul and the maintenance of cosmic harmony. It is an essential means through which individuals reaffirm their commitment to Asha, and through these rituals, they play an active part in the ongoing struggle between good and evil that defines the Zoroastrian worldview. In Zoroastrianism, death is considered a transition rather than an end, but the soul journeying through a series of stages before it reaches its ultimate judgment. The Zoroastrian approach to death is marked by a profound reverence for the deceased, and the rituals surrounding death are deeply imbued with the faith's cosmological beliefs about the struggle between the forces of good, represented by Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, and evil, personified by Agramenu, the destructive spirit. Zoroastrian death rituals are designed not only to honor the deceased, but also to protect the living from the potentially corrupting influence of death, which is seen as a source of spiritual impurity. The core belief is that while death represents a challenge, it is also an essential part of the cosmic cycle of purification and restoration. The death rituals in Zoroastrianism, particularly those with or for the dead body, are centered on ensuring that both the deceased and the living are protected from the taint of grudge, allowing the soul to continue its journey toward Asha, and that cosmic balance is maintained. Death in Zoroastrian thought is viewed as a necessary event in the cosmic drama between good and evil. It is not, however, regarded as a permanent defeat. Rather, Zoroastrians believe that death, while a source of impurity, is a necessary step in the purification of the soul. The central focus of Zoroastrian death beliefs is on the judgment of the soul after death, which plays a pivotal role in determining its ultimate fate. According to Zoroastrian eschatology, when a person dies, their soul faces judgment at the Chinvat Bridge, the Bridge of Judgment. The soul is assessed based on its actions, thoughts, and words during life, and if it is found to be in alignment with Asha, the soul is able to cross the bridge into the afterlife, entering a realm of light, peace, and unity with Ahura Mazda. However, if the soul is tainted by grudge, it falls off the bridge into the abyss of darkness, suffering, and eventual purification. Thus, the soul's journey after death is seen as a process of reconciliation between the forces of good and evil. While death itself is viewed as impure, it is part of a divine plan to restore the world to its original state of purification. The rituals associated with death in Zoroastrianism, therefore, serve as vital means to purify the deceased soul and protect the living from the contamination of death. The treatment of the dead body is one of the most significant aspects of Zoroastrian death rituals, as death is seen as a major source of spiritual impurity. The body is viewed as having been inhabited by the soul during life and is thus sacred. But once the soul departs, the body is considered to be under the influence of grudge. The primary concern is to prevent the spread of impurity from the deceased body, especially since in Zoroastrian cosmology, corruption and decay are manifestations of the forces of evil. As a result, Zoroastrians do not bury their dead in the earth or cremate the body, as both these practices are seen as contributing to the spread of grudge. Instead, the body is taken to a special place called a Adakma, or Tower of Silence, where it is left to be exposed to the elements. Here, scavenger birds such as vultures are allowed to consume the body, which serves to return it to nature without contaminating the earth or fire, both of which are sacred in Zoroastrianism. The Dakma serves as a means of preventing the defilement of earth, fire, and water, all of which are considered sacred elements in the Zoroastrian cosmology. This practice also reflects Zoroastrian respect for the natural processes of the world, in which life and death are seen as intertwined. The body, once consumed by vultures, is returned to nature, completing the cycle of life. This practice, although no longer as widespread due to urbanization and legal restrictions, remains a symbol of the Zoroastrian reverence for the sanctity of nature and the need for spiritual and physical purification. The death rituals are not only concerned with the handling of the body, but also with the soul's journey to the afterlife. Zoroastrians believe that upon death, the soul begins its journey immediately. The soul's journey is aided by the rituals and prayers that the living perform on behalf of the deceased. The first of these rituals is the recitation of the Kriya, or the prayers for the dead, by the immediate family or the priest. These prayers serve to ensure that the soul of the deceased is guided safely to the Chindvat bridge and that the soul is protected from any potential danger or harm in the afterlife. The Kriya prayers are also intended to provide comfort to the family and community members, affirming that death is not an end but a continuation of the soul's journey towards ultimate purification. The Kriya ritual can take place over several days, often beginning on the day of death and continuing for several days thereafter, with the final prayers being recited on the 3rd, 7th, and 40th days. These prayer rituals reflect the belief that the journey of the soul does not end with death, but continues as a process of purification and transformation. The deceased is not left alone in their transition, but is supported by the living through prayers, offerings, and ceremonial acts. In Zoroastrianism, there are certain festivals that are directly linked to honoring the dead and ensuring their well-being in the afterlife. One such festival is the Farvardigan, also known as the Festival of the Spirits. This festival, which occurs annually in the Zoroastrian calendar, is dedicated to the souls of the deceased, and during this period, prayers are offered to honor the spirits of the ancestors and to ensure their safe passage through the afterlife. The Gahambars, a series of seasonal festivals in Zoroastrianism, are also linked to the death rituals. These feasts are times when Zoroastrians gather to remember their deceased loved ones, offer prayers on their behalf, and share food as a community. These rituals help to sustain the connection between the living and the dead, ensuring that the souls of the deceased continue to receive the prayers and care that they need for their journey in the afterlife. These festivals provide not only a spiritual service to the deceased, but also an opportunity for the living to reaffirm their commitment to Asha and to remain connected to the ancestral wisdom and traditions of their faith. As with many other aspects of Zoroastrian ritual, fire plays a central role in the death rituals. Fire symbolizes the divine presence of Ahura Mazda and is considered purifying. During death rituals, sacred fires are maintained and prayers are offered in front of these flames to guide the soul of the deceased toward divine light. In many Zoroastrian communities, it is customary to light candles or small flames during memorial services to honor the deceased and to symbolize the soul's journey toward spiritual illumination. The flame represents the enduring presence of divine truth and purity, which helps to protect the soul from the chaos and darkness of the afterlife. The culmination of the Zoroastrian death ritual is the soul's passage across the Chindvat bridge. The soul must face judgment based on the deeds performed in life. If the soul is found to be pure and aligned with Asha, it crosses safely into the realm of light and peace, where it is reunited with Ahura Mazda and experiences eternal bliss. If, however, the soul is found to be impure, it falls into the darkness, where it faces punishment and eventual purification by fire. The concept of judgment and the subsequent purification of the soul reflects the Zoroastrian belief in the eventual restoration of cosmic harmony. The soul's journey toward purity, aided by the death rituals performed by the living, is seen as a part of the larger cosmic battle between good and evil. The soul's purification ensures that it ultimately returns to the divine light, contributing to the eventual triumph of good over evil in the universe. While traditional death rituals such as exposure to Dakma are less commonly practiced today due to legal and environmental challenges, the core principles of Zoroastrian death rituals persist in modern times. In urbanized settings where burial or cremation may be the only legal options, Zoroastrians have adapted their practices to maintain the sanctity of death through careful observation of purification rituals, prayers, and offerings. Despite these changes, the underlying theology of death remains unchanged. Death is still viewed as a transformative journey, with the living providing essential support for the deceased's soul. The rituals of death continue to be vital expressions of Zoroastrian faith, highlighting the importance of spiritual purity, the connection between the living and the dead, and the ongoing cosmic struggle to restore divine harmony. One of Zoroastrianism's most profound contemporary influences is its emphasis on environmental stewardship. Zoroastrian doctrine views the natural world as a sacred creation of Ahura Mazda, and humans are seen as caretakers of the earth. This ecological awareness has gained renewed relevance in the modern era, as environmental degradation and climate change continue to pose global challenges. Zoroastrian teachings about the sanctity of nature and the responsibility of individuals to protect the earth align with contemporary environmental movements, particularly those advocating for sustainability and conservation. The Parsi community in India, which remains the largest surviving group of Zoroastrians, has contributed significantly to the cultural, economic, and scientific advancements of the country. Despite their small numbers, Parsis have played an outsized role in Indian society, particularly in the fields of business, education, and philanthropy. Zoroastrianism, with its emphasis on social justice, charity, and intellectual development, has been a key influence in shaping the ethos of the Parsi community. All right, and that brings us to the end of the presentation of Zoroastrianism. And as always, there is a category for books that if you want to actually find out more and read something about Zoroastrianism in my Amazon storefront. And the link will be in the little eye icon. I think it's over here. It's in one of these corners. Always forget which one, you know that. It's also in the description below, so you can find it somewhere on this video. And I do appreciate it if you do go and buy a paperback or a hardback. That just gives me a small commission, which I add to getting more books that I can actually review on this channel. So that's it for the Path series this month. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.